Niwebo banefuaya Kafa babaranda Mweumfokulila kwa bantu Kasama yusi Bonse bachinda mea bakulu na banda Bonse bashikata na bana mayo banelila we mwamba Kasama ile fuaya iwe wile webo weshi mwamba Lika experience Olankane webo Mwamba Emmanuel Bonse bakasama Bale fuaya mwamba Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel Bongazama wakulira Tulefaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel Chipani ni PF Tulefaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel Wakuito uwele Emmanuel mwamba mbasata Emmanuel Tulefaya Emmanuel mwamba mbasata Emmanuel Bongazama wakulira
Good day. ZCCMIH Executive Board has just announced that they've approved the conversion of their shares from a dividend payment to a royalty payment of 3.1%. This is a matter we've discussed previously, and we felt that this deal was not good for Zambia, was not good for ZCCMIH, was not good for the Kansanshi copper and gold mine for our people. This is part of the many series that have been made against our natural resources, against our copper. You can trace it back to 1969, when President Kaunda decided to nationalize the mines. Zambians were not told that we're going to pay for over $296 million at a time. It was a large amount. Zambians just thought that by an act of parliament and by nationalization, we had taken over the mines. No, but there was a huge payout. And to support this payment, we issued bonds on the London Stock Exchange, which bonds were trading. And miraculously, by 1972, they had fallen so much that they were worthless. And Zambia lost another $250 million. Zambia again has litany of bad decisions regarding the mining sector, especially during the privatization deal. But there's one that never go away, the one on KCM, where KCM was valued at $650 million, was advertised to be sold for $450 million. That was the market rate. And Vedanta bought it for $25 million. And within a period of 3 months, they had announced profits of $100 million. So the subsequent deals have all been very bad. And the deal between ZCCMIH and First Quantum is one of the many bad decisions made by our own leaders, supported by our very eloquent technocrats that help literally sell this country. What's bad about this deal? First, there was a court case against First Quantum shareholders. They literally had stolen $2.5 billion from Kansanshi. And there was $750 million out of the $2.5 billion that Kansanshi had externalized without the authority of the board. They used this money to develop the Cobre mine in Panama, the famous copper mine in Panama. This matter has been active in court. It was just not a civil matter, it was also a criminal matter. To come to settle this deal, government pledged to drop the criminal charges against First Quantum mine shareholders. And government has not told us the pathway of how Zambia will recover that $2.5 billion. Because of that $2.5 billion that was illegally externalized, $750 million belongs to the CCMIH. This deal, we have 20% shareholding in Kansanshi. Government says that we are not losing anything, that will still hold the 20% shareholding, except that the dividend payments of 20% will now be converted to a royalty payment of 3.1%. We object to this. If you own 20%, you should get 20%. Where are we getting 3.1%? Various experts are saying this is even higher than what others negotiate for. We are literally a joke in this country. These are our mineral resources. I don't know why we beg investors, why we treat investors like they are doing us a favor. These are our minerals. And this is rent they're just supposed to pay. And I don't understand why we have to beg and enter into a series of bad deals. ZCMIH board statement says ZCMIH will earn some money and that they will have reliable income every quarter, and then which they can use for exploration. You look at the price of copper and cobalt and gold for the next 20, 30 years. It's on the highest it has ever been in the last 100 years. Those are the predictions of the expert, because copper is an ingredient, very key ingredient with cobalt, nickel and other minerals in the electric car value chain and in the electric. Begin to negotiate with the support of government to raise 20% shareholding to 49% or 51%, to begin to co-run these mines so that we stop the transfer pricing they do, the cheating on taxes, the cheating on production. And many models now promote, especially on natural resources, whether it's oil, gas, or minerals, like in our case, they promote some production sharing mechanism. First, you target your revenue. That's where you then target your sharing, not at 3.1%. We know that as a mine, Kansanshi will still pay taxes. They'll still employ workers who will pay taxes, and there are other benefits. But Zambia must move. These resources are finite resources. This deal is a 22-year-old deal. After 22 years, copper will have been depleted. Copper will have been depleted at Kansanshi, copper and gold. So we don't have these resources forever. There is a finite time to it. And the more we exploit it to the benefit of our people, the better. Look at what Botswana is doing. Botswana owns the mines that own the diamond mines in Botswana, 50% shareholding, 50%. And they've also targeted the production where they were buying 10% of the rough diamonds. They increased it by 2011 to 25%. There's a renegotiating on the table, and President Masisi says nothing more, nothing less than 50%. He says the value of mining is in the value addition. Because when you get copper, it sells nothing. But when you add value to copper, if you are making cables or you are making electric batteries, the value in the value chain is far, far better than just raw materials the way we've been producing them. So Botswana is a good example of how to benefit from your resources. The mines are co-owned at 50%. And then on the production, they are targeting that the beers will have to sell the diamonds of up to 50% to Botswana, where it does its own value addition and it goes to the market on its own, a market that's dominated by De Beers. But you can see the benefit that comes to Botswana. So I don't understand how we are let down constantly by our own leaders, by our own educated people that even defend things they shouldn't defend. I've always given an example of the DRC because people want to treat these investors like they're eggs. They want to treat them that the investors will not come, will not reach the targeted 3 million production other than with money from investors. How are investors producing in the DRC? where there is literally a country at war. But production has even beaten us. They are now #1 in Africa in copper, cobalt, and other minerals. How have the investors from Australia, Canada, from South Africa, from UK, how have they settled in the DRC where the country is unstable? Look at the environment that Zambia has. So why are we begging for an investor? Because we have copper, because we have gold, because we have emeralds, the investor will come, whether we have peace or not, whether you give them incentives or not. The investor is seeking that mineral for his businesses. So why don't we exploit this to our best? You are giving them tax holidays, you are giving them unnecessary incentives. They are even paying far less for electricity than our people pay for power, for domestic consumption. This must end. This deal remains bad. Whatever the justification, it's a very bad deal for our country. It's just a series of bad deals, in many cases negotiated by the same people that have been negotiating these sets of mine. That's why I admire Ngandu Magande. He brought, that law in 1998. And he says every time copper goes above $5,000, we have a sharing mechanism of that profit above $5,000. And the windfall tax in 1 year brought $500 million in 1998. Similar decisions were made in 2019 and 2021. Remember when Honorable Margaret Monakatwe abandoned the VAT tax because the mines abuse it. The mines buy capital equipment. We don't even know the value of those capital equipment. And then claim those refunds. In fact, we owe the mines up to $1 billion in these VAT refunds. Government decided to abolish it and provided the sales tax. You should have seen the funded uproar and using Zambian faces to defend this terrible, terrible decision for us to go back to the VAT refunds. Zambia has to benefit from these resources. No one else will do it other than ourselves. So I thought that we could briefly discuss the ZCCMIH Kansanshi deal, where they are turning 20% of our dividends to a 3.1% royalty payment. Whatever the justification, this is a bad deal. So good day, God bless you, and I'll speak to you later.
Mwamba Emmanuel, Mwamba Emmanuel.